Welcome to the Ruby Pearl Glamper True Crime Podcast. My name is Amy. Welcome to my show. Hope everybody's having a wonderful evening. It's kind of cool outside, not too terribly hot, so I am sitting outside coming to you live from the backwoods of Arkansas. And we've had a lot of rain here lately, and hey, Arctic Fox, how are you? Are you tired of this rain? I'm tired of this rain. Yeah, a lot of things have happened this week, and I want to talk about those things. You didn't get any rain? Oh my Lord. We got it bad several times. It rained here at my place, and it rained at my daughter's too, which we don't live too far from each other, but still we're in that same pathway of our counties are in that same pathway. So I want to start this live off by singing a couple of little songs. Maybe some of you might recognize them, I don't know. But I feel the need to sing these two little short songs. You are my way to another world. You are the one that lets me fly so high. You are the rain when my spirits run dry. You give my life a hope that's real. 'Cause when I'm with you, you take me away to another world. See if any of you recognize this song. Let me be there in your morning. Let me be there in your life. Let me change whatever's wrong and make it right, make it right. Let me take you to that wonderland that only two can share. All I ask you is let me be there, let me be there. Those songs are kind of special. The first song is the theme song to the old soap opera, Another World. I was a big fan of the show Another World soap opera. We started watching it in the 7th grade along with Days of Our Lives and Santa Barbara. And then, but Anne Hesh, who played Vicky and Marley on Another World, has sadly passed away. She was in a terrible car accident. Don't know the details, but it was pretty horrific. She drove into someone's house. Her car caught on fire, and she ended up in a coma and developed some complications, and she has passed away. Also, our favorite girl, Sandy, otherwise known as Olivia Newton-John, has also passed away. And, you know, my gosh, I went to the drive-in and saw Grease with my parents. So if that takes you back. And I mean, when never have I been, and then, you know, my kids and I, we went to, see the, like, the 25th anniversary, and then I think we went and saw the 40th anniversary. I'm not sure either. I know we went and saw the 25th anniversary, because we got these special popcorn bags. But anyway, that's the one movie you can go to and sing during the movie and no one gets mad. So, and I'm outside and there are bugs everywhere because I have my light on so that you can see me. But anyway, some other, I just wanted to say that, you know, I'm very saddened by the death of Anne Hesh and Olivia Newton-John, and I just wanted to pay a little tribute. Oh, cool. My mom and stepdad went and saw Olivia Newton-John in concert, way back in the day. But, you know, she was always one of my favorite singers. I love her songs and grew up on them. And, you know, it's just devastating to lose her. And, you know, I don't know what happened with Anne Hesh. But I do know that she has suffered from some mental illness in the past. I know she had some problems with mental illness in the past. So, you know, who knows, you know, what happened. And I'm very sorry for, you know, the people's house that she, of course, ran into. But, you know, it's devastating to lose Anne Hesh at such a young age. She's had a wonderful career, and Olivia Newton-John's had a wonderful career, and I just want to say rest in peace, ladies. You know, the world loved you. To get into some case updates, yeah, and that's exactly when she had the mental health issues, Fox. That's exactly when she had them. So, want to get into a couple some case updates this evening. First of all, they have officially made Harmony Montgomery's case a homicide case. Apparently, the police found biological evidence. They have not stated what kind of evidence. All we know is that it is biological, that leads them to believe that Harmony, it's hard for me to even say this, that Harmony was killed. And, you know, there's no, they haven't filed charges against Adam or Kayla for that matter. New Hampshire's doing it to another little... Okay, I will, Fox. You know, they haven't filed any official homicide charges against Adam or Kayla or anyone else for that matter. They have not found her remains, but there is biological evidence that leads the police to believe that Harmony is no longer with us and that she was killed. So, you know, I hope that they find her remains. I hope that, you know, maybe somebody will speak up. I would think that if Kayla knew anything, she would be the one to speak up. But she hasn't spoke up yet. So, you know, what does that say? don't seem to me like she cares about poor little Harmony. So, my dog. Also, in the Ahmaud Arbery case, I covered this case extensively over on my podcast. You think so, Fox? They searched a house first, and like another woman was living in it, but she, gladly gave them permission to do it, and they searched the ground and dug around and put heat because it was in the middle of wintertime when they did it, and heated up the ground or whatever they did, however they do that, and searched for it and didn't come up with anything. And so apparently they must have lived in this apartment after they lived in that house. Or maybe, the police just didn't have that information, and that was the last known address that they had on Adam, because at the time that they first questioned him, they found him living in his car at the park. So, but you look at that dude and he's got the face of evil. Well, they dropped the charges, against her, the food stamp fraud. They dropped those charges against her. So, and that was over $1,000, and that's $1,000 that someone else could have used, some other little kid, and I would assume it's a felony. If you write a hot check, or if you steal more than, I know, it's like if you steal from a store and you steal more than $1,000 worth of stuff, it's a felony. So, that's stealing from the government. So, but yeah, I'm assuming she cut a deal. I just wish that if she knew anything about what happened to Harmony, she might as well just go on and tell it. And, if she participated or helped cover it up or whatever she did, maybe she can get a lighter sentence or whatever. But, Adam, he's a career criminal, so, and he's got so many charges on him right now, not even pertaining to Harmony. Well, they are pertaining to Harmony, but they're really, I was just kind of bragging on her today or yesterday, that, if it hadn't have been for her, no telling how long Harmony would have gone on missing without anybody saying anything. That, she pursued looking for Harmony, so that she could see her little brother, because his adopted parents wanted, to, and so, it's just sad. It's horrible. I don't see how you could look at that sweet little girl's face and even yell at her, much less physically assault her, physically hit her, black her eye. That sweet little innocent face is just, there's something captivating about that little girl's face. She looks like a little doll to me. And there's just something so captivating about her little face that, I just could not even fathom hitting that child. And I'm honestly afraid to know what the details are if they ever find her remains, or there's a confession and anything, comes about from it. There's just so exactly how they gave her back to a career criminal. Even the honey, blood does not make you a parent. DNA does not make you a parent. She wasn't with him for a reason. And then, they say that he allegedly, did all that he was supposed to do for the courts to get her, where Crystal wouldn't do it. So, I don't know. I mean, apparently he obviously got back on drugs or whatever. But how long did he have her before it all started? Because I know that his brother or his uncle had made many reports to CPS and couldn't get them to do anything, and she was just another child that was failed by CPS. And I don't care how overworked and underpaid you are. Let's get some people in there and get them trained and do something. I understand COVID, COVID has done more damage than COVID has just really kicked us in the ass, so to speak, and screwed a lot of things up. It's got the courts backed up and backlogged, and as I've said several times, so many of the cases that I'm covering, everyone's sitting in jail waiting on a court date, waiting on a trial, and some of them won't go to trial till maybe this fall and next year. So, but I wanted to bring an update about the Ahmaud Arbery case. I covered this case extensively, and okay, I will look into that, Fox. I covered the Ahmaud Arbery case extensively on my Spotify podcast. So if you haven't gone and listened to any of my podcasts over on Spotify, just get on Spotify. It's free. You can download the app. It's free. And just search for the Ruby Pearl Glamper True Crime Podcast, and you'll hear all of the different trials and cases I've covered over there. That was where I started before I came to YouTube. And so if you want to hear my my case coverage of that. But now, okay, so Travis McMichael and Greg McMichael both received life sentences. And they also, cool. They both received life sentences, and they have now also received another life sentence for a federal hate crime, for their federal hate crime in taking away, basically when they did what they did, they violated Ahmaud Arbery's civil rights. And they have received a life sentence for that, to be served. I always screw this up. Concurrent, I believe. They're not getting out. Let's just put it that way. They got 2 life sentences on them, plus some more years. They ain't getting out. They also got 20 years, each got 20 years for attempted kidnapping, because they held him against his will. And, hey, yeah, me too. What they did was horrific. Should have got past that shit a long time ago. And it embarrasses me as a Southerner. Exactly. But then they got 20 years for attempted kidnapping, and then Travis got 10 years, an additional 10 years for his weapons charge, and Greg McMichael got an additional 7 years for his handgun that he had. So together, they have, Travis McMichael has 2 life sentences plus 40 years. And Greg McMichael has 2 life sentences plus 27 years. Did I count that right? I'm trying to add in my head. But either way, they're not getting out. And they had wanted to try and finagle around the courts and do their time in federal prison instead of state prison. And the judge said, no way, Jose. Nope. So they'll be doing their time in Georgia State Prison. I don't know which one. Don't care. And then William Roddy Bryan, the guy who filmed it all and helped chase him down, he got 35 additional. He didn't get a life sentence. He got an additional 35 years for a federal hate crime. That was the only extra charge that he got, because he did not have a weapon. He did not physically hold Ahmaud Arbery or touch him in any way. He just kind of helped block him in, more or less. So, but I guess maybe a kidnapping charge would be a little far-fetched on him. But they did give him an additional 35 years for a federal hate crime. So, I am tickled to death for Marcus Arbery and Wanda Cooper Jones, Ahmaud's parents. This case took a toll on me. It really did. Like I said, I covered it extensively, and I am just ashamed by it. I'm not from Georgia. I don't live in Georgia, but I am from the South. I grew up on that rebel flag too, But that rebel flag means something way different to me. And who has been the biggest rebel of all in this case is Ahmaud's mother, Wanda Cooper Jones. She did not take no for an answer. They weren't even going to file charges against them. And it took her and a public outcry, and Reverend Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton and Benjamin Crump and the gang, and by golly, they got them into court, and they got them put away for the rest of their lives, where is exactly where they belong. So, Wanda Cooper Jones has been the biggest true definition of a rebel in this case. And I hope now that all of it's over, that she and Marcus and the rest of their family and Ahmaud's friends can begin to heal. But, apparently we didn't learn our lessons with Trayvon Martin, and we didn't learn our lesson with Jordan Davis. Jordan Davis was a case that became very near and dear to me. He he was the one who was killed for playing his music too loud at the gas station. This dude got pissed off and shot him. And he's sitting in prison too. And so now I have a ritual. When I pull up to the gas station, I turn my radio up no matter what kind of music's on. But, you know, I'm just, you know, whether it's the police killing unarmed black men or whether it's, you know, vigilante citizens doing it. I think it's even worse when vigilante citizens do it. You know, you're just going to shoot somebody because he's in the wrong neighborhood and you think he might be going to burglarize somebody's house when all he's got in his hands is a bag of Skittles and something to drink and it's raining. You want to shoot a kid because he's playing his music too loud. And you don't like that rap crap, as he said. And then you just chase a man down the road like an animal for simply walking into a house that's being remodeled, that half a dozen people have been in that house and walked in that house, but they were all white. And then you chase him down like an animal. And, you know, it's I don't know what it's going to take to learn our lesson. I don't think anybody's learning their lesson about anything. Because, you know, crime just goes on and on and on, day after day after day after day. There's never a lack of it. And I think that, you know, we are in some of the most evil times I've ever seen. And I've been following true crime since the late 80s. And we are just in a state of just pure evil. Like nobody has any empathy or sympathy or morals or anything anymore. You know, just, well, fuck you. You know, I mean, it's just, it's crazy. But I'm very happy for Wanda Cooper Jones and Marcus Arbery and Ahmaud's family, and hopefully now he can rest in peace and they can move on and, you know, begin to heal. I mean, nothing's ever going to bring their son back. You can give them 20 life sentences and nothing's ever going to bring their son back, but I'm just happy that they got justice. So, now let's talk about little Scotty Peterson and strawberry shortcake. You know, that is insulting to strawberry shortcake. I'm a fan of strawberry shortcake ever since I was a little girl. And I think it's an insult. It's called Rochelle Nice strawberry shortcake. But anyway, you know how Nancy Grace is about giving people nicknames. So, they had the final arguments in the Scott Peterson hearing. He is asking to get a new trial, that he did not get a fair trial back in 2004 because juror number 7, Rochelle Nice, known as Strawberry Shortcake, lied on her juror questionnaire. And said that, and they say that she was, you know, biased. they're claiming that she was biased when she got on that jury. And there's, you know, a lot of, of course, a lot of detail into it, which I'll get into some of it. But I've been very clear about my feelings about this girl, and I would just like to choke the shit out of her, just bitch slap her. Who does that? God forbid, if you are ever called for jury duty, don't lie on your juror questionnaire, because the defense always finds out. I mean, how can you forget that you've been in a domestic violence relationship? How can you forget that you filed charges on your boyfriend for beating you up while you were pregnant? And you got into some sort of a lawsuit and filed charges against his girlfriend for kicking in your door, and filed a restraining order and all kinds of stuff. And, you know, who forgets that? And when you're filling out, and let's say, you know, you're not good at filling paperwork out or whatever. If you're not sure about something, ask somebody. When all else fails, read the directions. If there was something that she didn't understand or wasn't sure if her personal experience applied to the question or not, all she had to do was call the office that sent her the notice for jury duty. All she had to do was call them and say, yes, I received a letter for jury duty. It's asking me these questions. I'm not sure about this question. I'm not, you know, go ask an attorney, go do something. But if you're not sure, don't just check whatever box. And, you know, now in her defense, she has pled the fifth, of course, and she asked for immunity because she knows she lied, and she admitted she lied. And but she had an excuse for everything. She stated that she, I wasn't for sure about that. Well, since there wasn't any money involved, I wasn't for sure if that meant a lawsuit. I dropped the charges. It was actually me who hit him, and I lied about it. Okay, you're standing here admitting in court that you lied, that you filed false charges on someone, and you lied about them. And you're admitting that you lied about them. That destroys her credibility all. So nothing that comes out of her mouth is, I believe. I don't believe a damn word that comes out of her mouth. And I followed this case in real time. I followed this case when it happened. From the time Lacey disappeared to Amber Fry coming out, to finding Lacey and Connor's bodies, Scott's arrest, the trial, everything. I followed all of it in real time back in 2004 when all that happened. And I remember Strawberry Shortcake. Hell, I watched Nancy Grace every night. But you know, when she got on that jury, She made her presence known. I mean, it wasn't just the red hair. She dressed very I would say, flamboyant, might be the word that you could use. Bright colors and just a little out there for court, I should say. Not that her clothes weren't cute, but they were just a little out there, in my opinion, for what to wear to court. I was waiting on. Oh, really? I tried to watch the family. Oh, yes. How you doing, Wendy? Good to see you. Hope that you'll hit that subscribe button and hang around. I discuss a lot of true crime cases, old, new, and whatnot. And please, not okay. Yeah, yes. Where are you from, if you don't mind me asking? Also, Wendy, if you'll follow Arctic Fox, who's in the chat, he concentrates more on missing children and missing adults. That a lot of times the police will not help these parents who have missing kids that are over the age of 18, and he does a lot of extensive work with missing kids and missing adults. So make sure you subscribe to him as well. And sure appreciate you coming East Tennessee, knee deep in summer wells. Oh, okay. Oh, Lord, yes, we think about summer every day, and that's somebody else's neck I'd like to wring. Don, Candace, and Ronnie Lawson. But, Scott got his, because of this juror misconduct, Scott got his death penalty sentence overturned. And I'm okay with that, in considering I do believe that Scott is guilty. Don't get it twisted. I personally believe that Scott is guilty. But as I said, I followed that trial back in real time when it all happened, and that case and everything. And if I have to admit that in a court of law, all the evidence against Scott was primarily circumstantial. There wasn't any forensics, DNA, witness, anything that directly said that he had killed Lacey. Just a lot of circumstantial evidence. It wasn't the affair with Amber Fry. It was the things that he said to Amber. And, Scott's sister-in-law seems to forget that because, she's saying the lies that Scott told were to Amber. They weren't, no, honey. He told Amber that this would be his first Christmas without his wife. Have you forgot that? And look, you think it's just a coincidence that he didn't spend Christmas with his wife? He, in fact, killed her on Christmas Eve? But, as I said, I do have to admit that the evidence against Scott is circumstantial, highly circumstantial. So I'm okay with giving him life without parole in case for some crazy coincidental, that he really didn't kill her. and somebody else out there did, then, you can't bring a person back, once you put them to death. So, um, you know, in case for some crazy reason that he really ain't guilty, then, you know, he can get out of prison. He can't get off the death chamber. So, I'm okay with that. What I'm not okay with is little Miss Rochelle Nice and what she did. Because, I personally tend to think that she answered the questions in the hopes of getting on the jury. I do think she was deceptive in answering these questions on the questionnaire. The crazy thing about it is in the question that that asks, can you listen to the evidence and base your verdict on the evidence alone and not what you have heard previously in the media? She checked no. So, and she was actually excused because she told the court that she would not get paid for jury duty. So she was excused. But she stood out to Mark Garagos, and Mark Garagos wanted her on the jury. And he stopped her as she was leaving and says, "Hey, wait a minute." Well, now they're backtracking. They're like, well, it's just an oversight, or they think that, maybe she didn't mean to say no, or whatever, or maybe she misread the question. Who knows? But she clearly checked no and said that she could, but then it was never investigated any further. She was never asked about it. So that's kind of a catch-22, and you wanted her, you got her. But from the time she came on that jury, she was very out there. She was very outspoken. She spoke in the media. It wasn't just the red hair. She made herself stick out. And then, she walks into the jury room and says, "We got to get him for little man." Not, we've got to get him for what he did to his wife and his unborn son. Not, we've got to get him for what he did to Lacey and Connor. She was drawn to the unborn son. And that's because she had a son of her own, which she called little man. So I don't know what her hang-up about that was. I don't know, why she concentrated so much on the baby and, never said a word about Lacey. So that's kind of strange. But where it really gets cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs is when she starts writing to Scott Peterson in prison. And claiming to him that her therapist recommended for her to write to him, and that she had been in a mental hospital for a week because this case had took such a toll on her. Common sense. She stated in her juror questionnaire that she had seen previous, media coverage of the case. Who didn't know that he was accused of killing his wife and unborn baby? Who didn't know that going in? She knew it going in. And she should have known how she feels about children, about babies, about maybe even about abortion, or any of that. She should know that this is not going to be an easy case. She should also know that she's going to have to hear graphic details. She's going to have to look at autopsy photos. And if you can't handle that kind of stuff, then you need to do everything you can to get out of jury duty. I don't think I could ever serve on a jury because, A, I would be too controversial because I'm not going to bend. I'm going to hear the evidence and I'm going to judge fairly, but I've had so much trauma in my life and been the victim of a crime and been the victim of domestic violence and assault and all, and all kinds of stuff that I don't think that I could even qualify for jury duty. But, then again, I would not use my circumstances or what happened to me, of course, to judge someone else, but, when it involves children especially, I just don't, I don't know that I could do it. There was even someone who was talking about a case one day, and it triggered me about my dad. And I had to leave the chat. I don't even remember who it was or what case it was about or anything, but I had to leave that chat because it was triggering for me. And I can handle a lot of things, but then there's some things that I just can't even bring myself to say about, certain types of details and stuff of a case, but I am devastated for Lacey's family, that this stupid bitch did this. But back to where I was, she started writing letters to Scott, and I guess she thought that if she could get him to admit to what he did, maybe she would feel better about things, or I don't know, but she did her damnedest to try to get him to confess to her, but I don't know this woman. I can't judge what was going on in her mind, but I just feel like she became obsessed with Scott Peterson, more so than this case took a toll on her. I'm not saying that it didn't take a toll on her mentally, but I think that she had a choice, and I think she could have easily just, tried to put it behind her. And what fucking therapist recommended her to write to him was out of her mind. Because, first of all, you're not going to get him to confess to you. And all it's going to do is make you even more mad if he won't confess. And you know, she would say things to him like, take care, you know. You want him to take care of himself? The man murdered his wife and unborn son. Make up your mind. I actually had a friend who was obsessed with Scott Peterson as well. But then she wrote a book. So, you know, for whatever emotional toll this took on her, she also really inserted herself a lot into this case beyond just her civil duty for you know, to be on a jury. She went way beyond, in my opinion. So, you know, I don't know why, you know, why anybody would think it was a good idea to write to the person that you convicted and sent to death. Now, I do have a situation where I ended up, I had contact with someone who killed a friend of mine, and confronted him about it. And I did testify in that trial. I was one of the last persons to see her alive. And, you know, I did get into contact with him, and it was just by pure accident, actually. But I am now glad that I did. But, you know, that's, I don't know, is that the same? Is that the same thing? Because, I mean, I guess you could say I helped convict him too. But I didn't set out to contact him. Like I said, it was just a pure accident that I even crossed paths with him so many years later. But, you know, I am devastated for Lacey's family, but that they have to go through this shit all over again. And they have to be afraid that he might get a new trial. The judge has 90 days to make her decision. And, you know, some people think that she kind of tends to lean towards possibly not giving Scott a new trial. But if she does things fair and square, and she applies the laws of California to the evidence that's been submitted, and to the testimony, and to the arguments, she may have to grant him a new trial, whether she wants to or not. So, you know, and, you know, they're saying that they've got new evidence and whatnot, and that it's not new evidence. It's old evidence that was cleared up back years ago, in 2004. They're concentrating on the burglars across the street, and that there is evidence, and oh, you're a crazy cat lady. My girls are too. I have 3 grandcats. I have Michael Connor, I have Azula, and I have Phoenix. So I have 3 grandcats. a granddaughter, and a granddog. So, but it's really old evidence that they're relying on. People that claim to have seen Lacey walking the dog after Scott was already gone, after he was at the marina. They have apparently have some type of witness or something that can say that Lacey did have an encounter with the burglars across the street. The police cleared them burglars back then. So, I don't know where this new witness or new evidence that Scott's sister-in-law claims that she has, what it is. We'll just have to wait and see, I guess, if he does get another trial. If he doesn't, then they've already said that he will appeal to federal court. But I'm just I'm devastated for Lacey's family, because like Lacey's mother said, you could have divorced her. And instead he chose to kill her and take her and dump her out in the bay, and that unborn baby, and continued on with his little shenanigans and his affair with Amber Fry. And, I've always felt bad for Amber Fry. Some people didn't, but, that girl was clueless. She was completely clueless about Scott being married and everything. But the minute she found out, she turned it all. She contacted the Modesto police and came forward, and it wasn't her fault. Whereas Nicole Kessinger can say what she wants to, but she knew Chris Watts was married. She had looked Shanann up on social media and Googled her and whatnot. She was very well aware that Chris Watts was married. So, her I don't feel a bit sorry for. But Amber Fry, I do believe was completely in the dark about Scott. And, he never did really end up giving Amber an explanation as to why he said all that and why he did all that. And he just told her over the phone, I'm sorry, I can't explain right now. I can't talk about that right now. Exactly, Wendy. I agree. But I with Scott and Chris both, I do believe that the new babies were the center of why they did what they did. Especially for Scott. Chris, I don't know. Sorry, I've got bugs everywhere. With Chris, I think part of it was the new baby, and then part of it was, this new mistress he had and everything, and he was able to live the Yes, egos and neediness for attention. Exactly. You are right on the money right there, Wendy. Um, yeah. Scott, this was brought out back in 2004. Scott had some fake degrees and stuff. Like had certificates and whatnot for fake degrees and stuff, just to try to make himself look better or whatever. Um, but yeah, they just you know, you have so many deadbeat dads. Hey, Mountain Girl, how are you? What have you been doing? Somebody was talking about you the other day, but they were not talking bad. Oh, it was Griff. He had mentioned that you had been dealing with some stuff or whatever, and he mentioned you. So, but I'm glad to see you on here. We're talking about Scott Peterson and the juror number 7, Rochelle Nice, and I am just livid with this girl. I am livid with Rochelle Nice for what she's done. And now here Scott may get a new trial. It's bad enough to go through it once, but to have to go through it again, for Lacey's parents to have to go through it again, you know. Because this was a very high profile case back then. And oh, thank you. Oh, yes, he makes my blood boil too. He's so cunning and so charming, and acts like he, when I was talking about the letters that Rochelle Nice wrote to him in prison. The letters that he wrote back to her were so manipulating and so cunning, and trying to make himself sound like he cared about her well-being. And I guess it sure must have been tough on you, and to have to hear those details and have to listen to, I'm sure you felt this way and that way. He is just so charming and cunning and manipulative, and but I don't know why he ever thought that he would get away with it. The husband's always the first suspect, the parents are always the first suspect. Oh, really? I followed it back in real time, Mountain Girl, back when it all happened, and back during the trial, and when it went on, and everything. And so, I pretty much know all the horrific details of the case and everything. And it's just, I'm so angry that this girl did what she did, and now he may get a new trial and have to put her family back through this shit again. And it's hard. Like I said, it's horrible enough to go through it once, but have to go through it twice. It's just horrible. Yes, they do. They deserve peace. Lacey deserves peace. And, by all means, if someone else did commit the crime, then yeah, sure, we want them in prison. But I hate to hurt his sister-in-law's feelings, but your evidence is old and your evidence is weak. Because none of those witnesses can say that it was Lacey for sure walking the dog, which I don't know how many pregnant women were walking dogs in that area, but, I don't know. I always thought that was peculiar about how they, found the dog wandering around out in the yard and with his leash on or whatever. That is a detail that was pretty smart on if Scott is the one that, I don't know, drove the dog down the road and let him loose, or left the back gate open and put his leash on him, and knowing that I believe the dog's name is Kinsey, would wander out of the fence or whatever. Yeah, exactly. To use your dog to set up an alibi. That's pretty sickening, but pretty damn smart too. I mean, that was his alibi. That was his story, that Lacey was going to go walk the dog, and he left, and he don't know what happened to her. So, that has always been a weird detail, but he started trying to sell her stuff and getting rid of her stuff, and already ordering porn on pay-per-view and whatnot way too early. Yeah, your wife's missing pregnant with your unborn son, and you're ordering porn off pay-per-view or whatever. Just sickening. But and then how he carried on, his conversations with Amber, and I'm at the Eiffel Tower. Happy New Year's. No, really, I'm at a candlelight vigil for my missing pregnant wife. Sickening. Yeah, and Wendy, she has an excuse for that too. Scott's sister-in-law, she has an excuse for that money and whatnot. Okay, she said she lives about 20 miles. Oh, I know that. He must have used peroxide. Ugh, turned it orange. But she stated that she lives about 20 miles from the Mexican border. So Scott had reason to be where he was when they arrested him, and thought that he was fixing to try to make a run for the border. She says he had an excuse that he was having to live in his car because the media had his house staked out and, wouldn't leave him alone, so he was practically living in his car. Well, why didn't he come back home and live with his parents? Why didn't he come stay with her? That the cash, what did she say about the cash? I don't remember what she said about him having that cash or whatever, but, just that he had a reason for being that close to the Mexican border, and that with family or whatever. But I don't know. Back when all this was going on, they also found a shovel in his car. And if I remember correctly, thank you, Mountain Girl. If I remember correctly, they found a shovel in that car, and Google Map directions to Amber's work. And it was speculated, was he going to go kill Amber? I'm pretty positive about that. Because I'm trying to remember, they found camping gear, they found a shovel, they found Google Map directions to or MapQuest. Back then it was MapQuest. Directions to Amber's work. He had like $3,000 in cash, and he had dyed his hair and gotten a new vehicle and whatnot. So I think he was fixing to run. I have no doubt in my mind. Once he realized that he was, under scrutiny, and when they found their bodies, that was all she wrote. I don't think he ever anticipated that they would find their bodies. I was talking earlier about the lack of forensic evidence against Scott, but I'll never forget seeing the inside of that storage garage place, wherever, at his job, where he had his boat stashed, and there were 4 rings for were there 4 or 5? I believe there were 5 of those DIY anchors that he had made, and he made them in buckets. You pour the concrete in buckets, and then you take like a piece of rebar and bend it in a curve and stick it down in the concrete. And there were enough of those that he tied onto Lacey's body that to weigh her down with. And without giving away the details of the manner in which her body was found, I believe he tied one around each limb and around her neck. And that led to the circumstances in which her body was recovered, the way it was recovered. Let's just say that. She's also saying that they've got a medical examiner that will testify to the fact that Connor actually lived until January. So I don't believe that. You pay a medical examiner, you pay a doctor, you pay an expert to say something for your side, that's what they're going to say. I believe that it was just as though they said it was. That it was a, what's the term for that? Tomb birth, I believe. It was a tomb birth. After Lacey died and deteriorated, that was when the baby detached from her body. So, but it's just devastating. It's truly devastating. Does anyone have any questions or anything that they want to ask, or about the Scott Peterson case, or yeah, yeah, I will say that, this whole deal with Rochelle Nice, um, it it's it only takes one juror. Now you got to remember that 11 other people voted him guilty and to the death sentence as well, but it only takes one to have a hung jury. And whether or not she influenced anyone else's decision, I think someone would have to come into court and testify and say, yeah, she kind of made me see the light. I didn't think he was guilty, but, she really showed me and made me see that, that he was. So, something of that nature. But so far, all that's really been brought up is that when she walked back into the deliberation room, the first thing out of her mouth was, we got to get him for little man. So, and you're directed not to have an opinion until you start, reviewing all the evidence or whatever. I don't know. I've never served jury duty, so I'm kind of glad that I haven't, and hope that I never have to be honest with you. I mean, yeah, it's my civil duty, and I would judge somebody fairly, despite everything I've been through personally, because I do believe in a fair trial. I have seen people railroaded to prison for crimes they didn't commit. And so I'm very adamant about that. I'm very adamant about, getting a fair trial, and I think it's, unfair that so many different things that, I've seen from watching so many trials is you see evidence that is not allowed in court. There's evidence of this and evidence, but that's not allowed. That's not allowed in court. And to me, it's like in the Jodi Arias case. All that standing on her head and talking to herself and shit when she was in that interrogation room, none of that was allowed in court. Which would have just added to her guilt. I mean, just added to her craziness, more or less. But, it's amazing how things... but I have seen things that weren't allowed in a court trial that could have changed the outcome of that trial, that could have changed that verdict. Eileen Wuornos, the woman, she's known as the first female serial killer, but she's not really the first female serial killer. But the first guy that she killed, Richard Mallory, I do believe that he did something to her. And as she said he did. And they did not allow into court that Richard Mallory had previous rape charges against him. And to me, that that was unfair to Eileen, because this is the guy, this was the main one that she got her out there and did horrific things to her. Of course, in the end, she come back and she told Nick Brumfield that, oh, I lied about all that. He didn't do nothing to me. I was just robbing people. But I think she was so scared of them, of not being executed, because she wanted to be executed. I think she was so afraid that there something might come about that she got a stay of execution, and she didn't want that. So she just said, yeah, I killed them all in cold blood. I robbed them, and that was it. But I do believe Richard Mallory did something to her that caused her to snap, and then caused her just to go on a killing spree. Yes, she was, Wendy. That poor girl had been molested and assaulted and her whole life. And she's a lot like yes, yeah. I don't condone what Eileen did at all, but I think she killed the wrong people. Other than Richard Mallory, I think she killed the wrong people. But I do feel that, she had been hooking for many, many, many years. And there's been no other victims that they can relate to her, or that they can say, we think she might have killed this man and this man in Arkansas or Georgia or Texas or, somewhere. They've never found any other cases that they could attribute to her. So, starting with Richard Mallory, something triggered in her. Something triggered inside her that made her go on that killing spree. And we'll never know. We may never, we will never know all of what really and truly happened. And there's one of the bodies that they've never found. One of her victims that they've never found. But yeah, Eileen's case is heartbreaking. She's a lot like Charlie Manson. And I do hope she is at peace now, Wendy. I do hope she's at peace. But she's a lot like Charlie Manson. She was born into a hopeless situation. And it just escalated from the moment those two kids were born. They were both born into horrific situations and home lives, and didn't stand a chance from birth, in my opinion. Now, a lot of people have bad childhoods that don't go out and commit murder, but this is how you see, why someone turned out the way they did. Because both Eileen and Charlie had way worse of a childhood than I did. And I'm sure they've had way worse of a childhood than a lot of people. But, it's just a sad situation, and Now you've got these parents that are just letting these little kids die, or they're killing them themselves, or, and it's just, it's truly heartbreaking. It really is. But I guess I'm going to wind this up. It's getting close to my bedtime. And it's Friday night. Right about now I can remember a time it's hidden because no one says anything. And yes, exactly. People knew Eileen was living out there in them woods. People knew what was going on with her. And, Charlie got tossed back and forth between family members and in and out of reformatories and boys' homes and institutions and stuff. And he was just beaten senseless, and, he just... I don't know. There's a question that people ask, and I've seen this many, many times. Was someone born to kill? Was someone born bad? Was someone born to kill? And I don't think anybody was born to kill. I don't think anybody was born bad. What I can tell you from my own experience is that abuse and bullying and early childhood trauma does make a difference in who you become in your adult life. I have wondered, if this... Yes, they are molded into it. And I'm so glad you came in, Wendy. It's nice to meet you, and I'm thankful for your subscription. And my dog is hung up around the fire ring, and Tough, you can wait. He has no patience. He gets his runner twisted up, and then he starts yapping at me to get him loose. So... But, I do know from my own experience that early childhood trauma and abuse and bullying and things like that does make a difference in who you end up being and who you end up becoming. I hear you. So, it's true. I'm going to go over here and get that drama is something else. It is something else, and I'm tired of it. I want to talk about cases. I want to talk about trials. I want to talk about true crime. We're supposed to be a true crime community. And if I want to see all that drama, I'd watch reality TV. But I've tried not to get too involved in it. I've gotten a little involved in it and whatnot. But I try not to get too involved in it. But everyone have a wonderful night. Thanks Arctic Fox and Mountain Girl for coming in the chat. And thank you, Wendy, for subscribing. And hope to see you back next time in the chat. I also have a Spotify channel I have a podcast over on Spotify. It's called the Ruby Pearl Glamper True Crime Podcast. So go over and take a listen to that. And as always, everyone, please be the change that you wish to see in this world. As Michael Jackson said, it starts with the man in the mirror. Peace out, everyone. Good night.